All right. Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon to the Brentwood community and welcome to our December 17, 2020 board meeting. On behalf of the entire board, welcome, and we're going to call this meeting to order at 5:04. And basically, so that everybody knows what we're going to do tonight is we're going to go immediately into exec session and come out to public at 6:30 p.m. We hope to be right on time, and we hope to see everybody back at 6:30. With that being said, I need a motion to convene general session at 5:05 p.m.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Felix. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Could everybody turn on their mics when we're voting? All right. And could I have, I need a motion to recess general session and convene into executive session at 5:05 p.m. For the purpose of seeking legal advice from the board's attorney. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez-Prescott. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. So that's it. We're going to go right into exec and hope to see everybody at 6:30. Thank you so much. Candace, if you could just let us know when we are in
5 in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Brentwood community, and thank you all for rejoining us. I am going to ask that we all please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America,
to the
and to the
republic for which
republic
it stands,
for which
one
it
nation,
stands,
under God,
one nation, under
indivisible,
God,
with
indivisible, with
liberty
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you.
I am going to ask that before we move on with the agenda, I would like to take a moment to ask that everybody take a moment of silence for all of those who have passed during this past year due to the pandemic or for any other reason. I know that it's been a very, very difficult year for everyone. With that being said, I am also going to state that we are getting word that a former Board of Education member has passed away. And in respect to the family, us not knowing whether all friends and family have been contacted and made aware of this tragic passing, we are not going to mention that board member's name, but we will do so at our next board meeting. So with that being said, I am going to ask that everybody please take a moment of silence to recognize all that have passed this year. And thank you, everyone. It's so hard to move forward after that, but we will continue with our consent agenda, keeping everybody in our thoughts and prayers. So I'm going to go move with be it resolved that the following items be approved. Items B1A through B1M. I need a motion.
Motion.
Could I please remind all members to please turn their microphones on when we're voting? So be it resolved that the following items be approved, B1A through B1M.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Holder Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved, B2A through B2N. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Gonzalez Prescott. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be it resolved that the following items be approved, C1A and C1B. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. We're now going to go to the items. On page 7, D1A, appointments, resignations, and leaves or of certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. I need a motion.
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by Gonzalez Prescott. Trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1B, appointments, resignations, and leaves of non-certificated personnel as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Felix. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1C.
Simone, excuse me, Simone, your mic is not on.
Okay.
Thank you.
D1C, approval for legal defense as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Holder Daniel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1D, approval for legal defense as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Safiri. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by trustee Burgos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1E, approval for workdays of a retired administrator as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1F, approval of workdays for retired administrator as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Safiri. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1G, approval of workdays for retired administrator as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Felix. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. D1H, approval of workdays for retired administrator as proposed on the agenda. Could I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Burgos. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. E1A are student enrollment figures. That's for information only. It is notable, I think, something that needs to be mentioned is that we have had a decline in enrollment, I think, for quite some time now. And the number that we have before us is about 200 students less since October. So that's 200 students less from October 30th to November 20th. F17, miscellaneous items for information only. And G1A, old and new business. Mr. Lotion, I would like to turn this over to you. I think that we have a bit of news for the community. If you could elaborate.
Yes, we actually we have a true hero. I mean, this is really an amazing story. It occurred last weekend. We have a young lady who actually charged into a burning building. Her home was on fire, and in the basement there was a lady, a neighbor of hers, in the basement of this house, and the woman was too frightened to come out of the house, and it was obviously in a perilous situation. And one of our high school students, her name is Star Grant. I know the board would like to recognize her, and we will have her in person as soon as we're back in person, because I know you all want to meet this young lady. But Star Grant evidently ran into the basement of this burning building and actually helped this lady up the stairs out to safety. And the firefighters obviously were amazed at the courage of this young lady. And it really is really something to be quite proud of. And I know her uncle, who spoke to Newsday, said that her entire family is incredibly proud of her, as is the Brentwood community. So once again, Star Grant, an incredibly courageous young lady.
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Loescher, I know that we were discussing, the updates on the devices a little earlier.
Mhm.
Ms. O'Connor had filled us in. Do you want to just, Ms. O'Connor or Mr. Loescher, it doesn't matter. You want to just give us an update in terms of where we are in the devices? We had said that we were going to get about 6,600. Do you have any more information about that?
Yeah, actually, we did receive the 6,200 that we were promised this month, and we did receive them in. Our IT department is currently imaging them around the clock, and they're pushing them out to the schools. We're also getting another shipment of 1,100, so that would actually give us 7,300 in the month of December. So we really, at this point, we've handed out over 10,500 laptops that we've given out to the buildings, and they're subsequently giving them out to the students and families. So, again, I want to thank the community for having their patience. It's been obviously, we've been waiting for some of these deliveries to come in. We've actually gone to different vendors. We've gone around the country, literally around the world, searching out laptops, and I'm proud to say that we actually had quite a few delivered this month. Hopefully by the end of January, because obviously it takes quite a bit of time. Each time you image a laptop, it's anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to image one laptop. Obviously we do multiple at a time, but it does take us quite some time to download the software and the protections that we have here in Brentwood before we can give them out to students. So again, I want to thank the students and families. Please, continue to contact your schools. They are getting shipments either 50 to 100 at a time, and they are giving them out to the families. I would ask, however, that if a parent makes an appointment with a school, that you try to keep that appointment. If not, please call the school, because what's happening is we're making appointments during the school day and after the school day. And I know some schools are actually meeting on a Saturday to try to give out these laptops. And what can be frustrating is that we're making appointments and people aren't keeping those appointments. If you can't make it, let us know, and we'll give that laptop to another student and we'll come back to you. But we hope to have all of these laptops finished by end of January or the first or second week in February, and pushed completely out to the buildings. And obviously Candace Chang is on the line here tonight. And obviously she's done a tremendous job as the leader of the IT department, and her whole department have worked tirelessly to kind of push this equipment out there.
And Ms. Loescher, just to clarify, the goal is to provide a laptop or device, one per student throughout the entire district. So as I'm listening, and if I'm new to these meetings, I would wonder if there are 7,700 kids that aren't with devices. And what we did was we did prioritize all the students who didn't have devices. We have a lot of students who are using their own personal devices at home, so we don't think that there's any lack of technology, but our goal was still to get a device into each individual student's hand, and that continues to be the goals. One thing that I just did want to note was, as soon as the Board of Education was made aware that some of the devices that were promised that were going to be delivered in October didn't come, and we were told that there would be further delays. Ms. Loescher, I don't know, or Ms. O'Connor, I don't know what the tune of the number was, but we did authorize the use of extra funds so that we could get devices quicker to our district at a higher and much greater cost, because that's the I think that's the relative importance that we had given this goal. Ms. Loescher, so thank you, to you and your team for everything that you're doing.
No, thank you. And I do want to thank the board too, because this has been one of the board's goals. It was one of your goals coming into this year, pre-pandemic, to give out laptops to the high school. Obviously, the pandemic hit, and then you guys made it a priority to give it to all of our students. And actually, that's K through 12. We weren't actually considering, we weren't really factoring in the kindergartners, but I know the Board of Education really wanted to have the kindergartners also who are working remotely to have laptops. So we've even now kind of rolled them into our distribution plan. So we should have them. It's still the initiative. We still, hopefully by the end of February, middle of February, end of February, we'll have a laptop in every student's hands. So again,
Great. Yeah, no, thank you. And you know what? And it's there's always a silver lining through all issues. And having these devices and having this system in place will be a foundation that we're going to be building on in years to come. Getting devices into everybody's hands will be something that is going to benefit the district for hopefully for generations. Ms. Losho, can you give us an update in terms of the COVID issues or where we are as a district? I know that you send out letters to the community. Not everybody gets to see them. So here's a chance to just kind of like give the community a brief summary of where we are and what we're dealing with.
Okay, no, and I appreciate the opportunity. Before Thanksgiving, we had a number of cases. However, they were kind of spread out throughout the district. We'd have one or two cases who were positive in a building here, a building there, and it was fairly sporadic. Since Thanksgiving hit, we've actually had really just a exponential growth in the number of cases that are positive. And remember, every positive case sometimes results in quarantining. So right now, we probably are quarantining about 350 students. That doesn't mean, obviously, that they were positive, but that just means that they came in contact with someone who was positive. It may or may not have even been on the school campus, but that's about how many students we are quarantining right now. And again, that's across all 17 schools. We are quarantining and isolating probably upwards of about 140 to 150 staff members. That includes administrators, teachers, even central office. We have custodians, food service workers, clericals. Really, every unit has been hit by the virus, whether they either have the virus or they've been exposed to someone, and that causes us to quarantine. I do want everybody to know that we take it extremely seriously. If there's a remote possibility that someone should be quarantined because they came in contact with somebody who has the virus, our contact tracer, Byron McCrae, and our nurse practitioner, Susan Averso and Helene D'Agostino, they are terrific. We are really on top of it. We quarantine anybody who comes in contact with someone who has the virus. Of course, we do follow CDC guidelines. That is also a question that I'm asked quite frequently by staff members, community members. We follow the guidelines. In other words, if someone just comes in a brief contact with somebody who has the virus and they were wearing a mask, they were socially distancing, they might be in a large room with few students in it or other or faculty members, they may not need to be quarantined. So not everybody who comes in contact with someone with the virus necessarily has to be quarantined. We do follow those guidelines. So what's happening is sometimes there are offices, one of the middle schools is actually all 3 administrators have been quarantined and some clericals only because they are in very close proximity to one another for a great length of time, really the entire day. So that obviously warrants a quarantining. So situations like that, we obviously take seriously. I don't even know if I also wanted to thank the nurses who have been tremendous during this, this whole ordeal. they are fielding questions. I think they begin in the parking lot. They start fielding questions from faculty members, parents, students, and then they really work through the whole day, not only doing paperwork, they also help the contact tracers because they play a great role in this as well. And then they also are caring for our kids because so many come down, not just with COVID related, symptoms, but other symptoms as well. So they're dealing with quite a bit. And I want to thank the nurses for all of their efforts. Really everybody too, the custodians have been terrific. I do want to, let everybody know as soon as we find out that a room had someone that had the virus, whether it's a classroom or an office, we clean it thoroughly. The custodians comes in, led by Mike Cruz and Jay Brown, and they spray it down with that special chemical that I've mentioned in other meetings. They spray it, kills all of the all bacteria and germs, and then they wipe it down before people come back into the classrooms. We are, to be honest with the community, and one of the reasons we're going remote tomorrow is because we are having a great deal of difficulty covering our classes. And this is not uncommon. That's why, we have some neighboring districts who are actually out on remote for a week to 2 weeks. The reason being is we're having, as soon as you have a number of people out because of quarantining, that makes it quite difficult to get substitutes in to cover the classes. So that's what we're experiencing in some of the schools. As I mentioned, some of the middle schools, the high school has been hit hard. We also have a couple of the elementary schools that really, they can at any given time have 10 to 15 staff members out because of the virus, whether they're isolating or quarantining. And that's very difficult to cover. And I want to thank, again, the administrators are doing a tremendous job, figuring out how to cover classes. Teachers are covering, their colleagues really 1 and 2 times a day. They're subbing classes to make sure that the classes are covered. And I want to thank them as well. Really, everybody's pitching in, but it is getting difficult. Let's remind the community also. I mean, obviously Christmas is coming up. Obviously Hanukkah is just about concluded. I want to congratulate, everybody who celebrates Hanukkah, but also Christmas is coming up. And I'm obviously frightened for the district because, there's a likelihood of traveling. There's a likelihood of get-togethers and gatherings. And I just want everybody to obviously be careful if they can. And I'm sure you will, but that may impact our numbers when we return in January. And one final note too, if I can, Mr. Feliciano, I have gone out to the district and I've spoken about the yellow zone, and I've written a couple of letters, and we actually sent out a survey to all of the parents. It actually closes tomorrow. So if any parent out there, if you go on to Parent Square, there is a survey. It's called the Willingness to Test Survey. And if you would be willing to have your son or daughter tested, it's very easy. It's non-invasive. I think I went over it last week, with the community. It's a very non-invasive with a Q-tip swab on, both nostril. And in 15 minutes, you'll have a result of whether it's positive or negative. That's the rapid test. So if you could fill that out, send it back to us, that would be terrific. Either way, positive, whether you want your son or daughter to have it or not, it's fine either way, but we'd love to hear from you.
Mm.
Now, in terms of the yellow zone, I wanted to let you know, I actually spoke to the governor's office yesterday and Steve Ballone's office. We're actually not, believe it or not, even though we are obviously our size, we have, about 65,000 residents in Brentwood. We're actually not as critical as other districts, believe it or not. When I was speaking to Steve Ballone's office, they actually said we're 15th on the list of, we're actually 15th from the bottom. There's actually 5 school districts who are considered kind of hot right now in the hot zone, and they'll be moving into the yellow zone prior to us. However, the county and the governor's office will eventually want to come into Brentwood and do testing in Brentwood. So that is a real likelihood. Now, it's not going to happen prior to the winter vacation. It more than likely will happen the week after we return, which is January 4th, or it may be the following week, January 11th. So you will be hearing from me again and from the Board of Education, because we will have to talk about this as a community as we move into the yellow zone. Or we might not even be in the yellow zone, but the county may want to do it preemptively. They might want to just come in, test about 1,200 to 1,500 of us, get the results. Hopefully it's significantly lower than 1%, and then they would move on. That is a possibility. So again, I'll have to keep the community apprised of how this is progressing as we get towards the holiday and then after the holiday.
Ms. Loshon, I just thank you for that explanation. I just wanted to just reassure the community that, you know, that everything that can be done is being done. We are trying to be proactive. You know, I don't think there's been a moment that we haven't taken the health and safety of everyone in the district, including staff and students alike, into consideration. And I wanted to thank everybody involved in the process. I know you mentioned, you know, nurses and Mr. McCray as our contact tracer, but it really is a team effort. I think that this is just one of those things that we could all be proud of, you know, looking back when, you know, when we're talking about the crisis of 2020. So with that being said, you know, thank you so much to you, the staff, and parents and students alike. You did mention, you know, that we are coming into holidays, and that, you know, the CDC protocols and the recommendation is to make sure that we're not, you know, in large gatherings. It's so easy to kind of, you know, toss and relax on toss that out or relax, you know, during the holidays. But, you know, there was one just one saying, you know, like let's have a safe 2020 holiday so that we can all be here to celebrate 2021. And that's really what it is. So for me, at least. So thank you again, Mr. Loshon, and your team and everybody involved. Mr. Loshon, I was just wondering if we could just kind of almost end this on a kind of high note. There was a great celebration just in the past week or so. It was the, you know, the Christmas tree lighting, you know, the holiday drive-through at the high school. I wasn't able to go, but I've just heard nothing but just wonderful things about what it was that the district was able to accomplish under the leadership of I think it was Miss Young and her team. I love the way they just improvised and made it work no matter what the conditions are. Can you just elaborate a little bit?
Yes, and actually it was Miss Young and Miss Sinius, who is the department chair for, I'm sorry, she's the assistant to the director. I apologize for that. The two of them have been running it for a number of years now, and it's they were determined, along with their team. There's actually a team of teachers who actually help out too, and the high school administration and students are involved. But I'll get to that in a moment. They were determined to have this tree lighting no matter what, and they really did an exceptional job. We actually had over 20 different schools and organizations within the high school. The ROTC, I really want to recognize too, in the special education department. Pine Park was there. You know, SEPTA was there. I actually am going to do, and the bilingual department, obviously led by, you know, Wanda Ortiz and Paula Ribeiro. They just did a phenomenal job. And then, you know, Ann Palmer and Patricia, or, you know, Brockbank, they were handing out books to kids. There were organizations everywhere handing out, you know, goodies to the kids. And it really was a wonderful, wonderful event. The lights were terrific. It was along the front of the high school. And then it actually ended up with food service giving out meals at the end. And that was really a nice touch also. So I do want to thank the hundreds and hundreds of kids who were involved, and the faculty from all across the district and the high school in particular who were out there. It was a little bit chilly. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a happy, wonderful event. I do want to apologize. I know there were some families who are unfortunately didn't have an opportunity to come to actually make it through. The traffic was tremendous. It was larger than we anticipated. There had to be, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars. And we didn't anticipate it being this large and this well attended. So I want to thank everybody who came, but I do want to apologize for those who did miss out. And we do sincerely feel bad about that. We're going to figure out how to do it next year, kind of a combination. It will be indoors and maybe a drive-through. That's what we're thinking. But it really was a wonderful event. We hope to have some more of these come the new year, because it really does bring the community together, and we need it. We need it desperately.
Yeah, no, thank you. And that's exactly the way I felt when I heard that we couldn't accommodate everybody. I was just so thankful that people wanted to come out and just be a part of the community. So that was, it was kind of that sweet and sour moment. But it's great news.
Yeah, and I want to thank also, I don't know if I mentioned the security. Security was terrific too. They obviously were out there all night directing traffic, and it was probably, we couldn't have done it without them. A little frustrating for them too, because I don't think they anticipated the number of cars that were showing up. Plus, I think you throw in a little, I think there was construction over on Fifth Avenue or something.
Stein Drive, right at the gate.
Yeah.
When you got the back line.
A monkey wrench into the whole thing. So people were driving all over the place, but it was a nice event. I mean, the kids were ecstatic, to see them drive through. It was really wonderful. We had Santa Claus there, Mrs. Claus. As I promised, they came down from the North Pole. Spider-Man was there, and oh man, it was fun. A fun night.
That's great. That's great. I still can't figure out what Spider-Man was doing with Santa, but listen, it's all good. It's all good.
He said he wanted to come, so we can't turn down a superhero.
We are not turning anyone down. That's it.
Robert, can we also, Mr. Lochner, can you also give us an update on the kindergarten remote classes that started a week ago?
Yes, thank you. And again, I thank you, Julie. And I know you were a proponent of this. You made sure that we, accommodated our kindergarten students. Yeah, what happened was it was one of those things that we kind of made a decision in August that we wouldn't be able to work with our remote kindergartners right in the beginning of the school year. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know if we could have effectively done that in September. But what happened was, obviously, as we developed and we grew and we learned in September, October, and obviously the board was really pushing for this. And I know, many of the board members, you included, Julie, really wanted to see us reach out to these kindergartners. So what we did was we kind of rearranged some staff members, and now we're remotely teaching a little over 150 kindergartners, and we put together a schedule. We have an AM and a PM, and the teachers are doing wonderful. I've been to a couple of classes. It's absolutely fantastic. I think we're going to really have a nice, a time from December all the way through June where we're working with those kids and we're getting them up to speed. So hopefully, we will be confident with those kids who participated remotely when they enter our first grade schools in classrooms. So it really, I'm really glad that we pulled it off. And again, the assistant superintendents who are really incredible, Ann Palmer, Wanda Ortiz, plus Minerva Feliciano and Rosa Nieves and Chris Daly, they've all worked tirelessly. Patricia Brockbank put a tremendous amount of time and effort into this to make sure that we pulled this off. And it was a collaborative effort. A lot of scheduling went into it, and a lot of love went into it. They really distributed materials and laptops to the kindergarten students. It was really an exciting time to see that kind of open up on December 9th.
Mr. Lochner, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more and piggyback on what you said. And, at the beginning of the year in September, we said that this was all going to be a work in progress. We weren't really sure how things were going to roll out. This was, all of this idea of, hybrid learning, remote learning, devices, no devices was just really, a living, breathing document. And I want to just say that this is just, prime example of how it was that and how it is that we continue to adapt, right, and learn. And we will continue to do that throughout the rest of this year, or for as long as this pandemic puts us in the predicament that we're in. Again, it wasn't an easy start. It wasn't a perfect scenario, but the commitment on the board's behalf and central administration's behalf to continue to do the best that we can with what we have is unwavering. And I just want to say that this is just another example of that. So is there anything else?
There are some questions
Oh,
that were sent in.
yep. There was a question here.
Oh, there's a few.
It's a connected, yeah. It's a multi-part question from what I can see.
Yep.
There's a few,
So,
which I do get a lot of phone calls on these, and I'm not sure how to answer legally.
yeah,
So,
so
I'm glad we
so-
have somebody here.
So the question reads, and I'm going to try to summarize it. There are two agenda items that need approval for legal defense. The
Why don't you read it as
questioner-
is, it's easier.
Yep, the questioner has asked whether or not you can tell me how many times the same person has put lawsuits onto the board and the superintendent. You know what? I mean, I want to say that we may be at a dozen at this point, Mr. Lochner, 12 to 15. Ms. Gomez, I don't know if that's within the ballpark.
Yes, Mr. Feliciano, that's an accurate number. We're at about 12 to 15 pending cases right now, which does not account for the number of cases previously brought by this individual over the course of the past years.
Okay, so I'm going to just go to second question. Does the board and the superintendent and other people whose names are in the agenda items pay for their own attorneys? Or does the lawyers or do the lawyers that do the work for the board get used? So are we paying for our own attorneys, or is it the board members individually? And I can answer that question. It's the reason why those approval for defense resolutions are on there. As board members, we do get indemnified, and so do any of the school district employees, along with the superintendent. We are represented by Brentwood School District attorneys. Does that mean that it costs extra money for these lawsuits? Like, do you pay an extra money to the lawyers because they're the same person giving the same lawsuits? Ms. Gomez, I mean, could you answer that? I mean, are we paying extra money for this? I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, each one of these complaints has a certain amount of time and expense associated with them. And it's not any extra money. It's just the regular amount of money that would cost to defend these complaints.
Yeah, so this is what we call a non-retainer matter. So the typical work that we do for the district falls within the retainer, which is a set flat fee that the district pays for. The separate litigation is what we call non-retainer, and that is at a separate cost that is not under the flat fee. But that would be the only kind of extra fee that I believe this person may be asking about. There's no separate fee that is paid by the individual board members or individual school employees.
Okay, so the next question is, I'm going to summarize. Can you tell us?
Robert, I'm sorry, before you go on, I think the question was, though, does it cost the district extra money? Like, we are paying your law firm extra money for defending us against these lawsuits.
Okay, yes.
That is
Yes,
correct,
yes.
Julie. Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Burgos, that's correct.
Yes. That's okay.
Thank you, Julie.
Can you tell us, how much, an approximate cost? I think that's a summary of the next question. Can you tell us, what the approximate cost of the, has been to date? Mr. Nostra, I think that you did some research on this particular item, and I think that you gave us some of that information a couple of meetings ago. Can you address this?
I did. We have obviously both law firms, that have worked on a number of these claims and lawsuits. Candace, I do have a rough number. Is that allowed for me to say it publicly, or is that something that?
No, that's fine for you to give the approximate number. I was actually just trying to pull that number up myself, Rich, but if you have it available, that is public information that you can share.
Okay. Roughly speaking, I only looked at this past year, and it's probably approaching about $80,000 in additional costs to the district over this past year, just for the lawsuits by this one person I'm speaking about. And then obviously you'd have to extrapolate that out for the last number of years that the suits have been coming in.
Yeah, and
Mr. Lushna, that doesn't include the auxiliary staff
Right.
that's working on some of the other components of these complaints. We're talking about clericals, we're talking about secretarial, we're talking about, different administrators that may be involved in along the process, right?
Well, I'm glad you asked the question that way, because I certainly can answer that. Well, first of all, we have Miss Hoey, who is here, and it's really has become, and no kidding aside, it's really almost another full-time job to process these foils. Our HR department is really spent, now that you can't quantify because obviously they're employees of ours. I can tell you that they are doing overtime, but I can't quantify that overtime, how it's associated to these lawsuits. But our HR department is doing an inordinate amount of time processing these foils. And I'm talking, some of these foils are hundreds and thousands of pages long, that by the time we finish going through these foils, and then you have to go through them carefully to make sure that we don't give out any personal identifiable information. And then, you mentioned administrators, what will happen is the foils will come in. Obviously, lots of them go to the HR department, but many of them do go to other departments and or administrators, and they do have to spend an incredible amount of time putting together the requests on these foils. So yeah, it's besides the amount of money, obviously, that the district is paying the attorneys, there really is an incredible amount of time and work and effort, and really which translates to money as well, that district employees are putting to these cases in front of us.
Now, after we do the work, do we have to send it back to the lawyer for them to go over it?
Yeah, very often the information that, let's say, for example, that HR department I just mentioned,
Right.
yes, before we can really properly and send that out, we do send it back to Candace's law firm, and they will have to preview the foil before it's sent out to the individuals.
That's what I thought. All right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, one of the downsides to all of this is that, it is an incredible distraction with so many things that we have to focus on. It makes just all of that other truly important stuff just that much more difficult. So, but I guess everybody is entitled to their day in court, right?
There was another part to that question. Oh, that's probably what you're going to read now.
I'm going to summarize the last two.
But there's another part, Robert, to that question that I think you need to answer.
Go ahead.
It says, if you cannot tell us, is the money you pay to the lawyers being taken away for other things for the kids? So
Yes.
just to put it in perspective, and Mr. Lochner or Ms. O'Connor can clarify, right? $80,000 will pay for a teacher's salary, starting teacher, including the benefits or some benefits. Is that correct?
Oh, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be a whole staff member there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you want to translate it, I mean, obviously, I want to tell the community that we're doing everything possible to make sure everybody has the services and staff members in front of them that is needed. But certainly, yeah, stuff like this does, eventually, it does eventually hurt the schools when you're spending money like this.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
So I'm going
next
to summarize the last two questions because it's kind of a delicate subject. So just in summary, I think that Ms. Gomez, if you could answer this. So in summary, why would a person who has brought forth so many complaints be allowed to apply for a job within the school district? I am going to just put it out there that I believe that it's, in my opinion, that one has nothing to do with the other, and that, if there is a vacancy that an individual is qualified for, he or she is always welcome to apply. And I believe that that is, based in, real legalese. Ms. Gomez, if you can elaborate.
Sure, you've summed it up perfectly, Mr. Feliciano. One issue has nothing to do with the other. If someone is eligible to apply for a position, then the district will accept that application and process it just like anyone else's application.
Great. Okay. Does anybody have anything else before we try to make a motion to adjourn?
There's that last question. I hate to always be the one to
I
bring it
know, I
up.
was thinking the same thing.
But I think, somebody did ask the question, and truthfully, I don't know the answer to it. Maybe Candace does.
Yeah,
Or
number B,
Yeah, the last B in red.
2B.
Would you like me to read it, Robert, or you can read it?
Yeah, you know what? No, go ahead. I don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah, it says, why can't the district file with the courts for an order that losers of the suit pay all costs? I know not all of the petitions are to a court, so I don't know if maybe Ms. Gomez, you can explain some of that. And
Okay, so Julie, I don't have that.
community.
I don't have that question at all. So you guys might be
Oh, it
looking
was
at
sent
update.
afterwards, I guess. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so Trustee Burgos, you've raised a very good point. Not all of the litigation that we are currently defending on behalf of the district has been brought in court. So some of these complaints, so to speak, have been brought before the Commissioner of Education, which is a different process outside of the realm of the courts. In terms of the complaints that have been filed in the court, seeking some type of relief in terms of having the loser pay attorney's fees, or maybe having a countersuit based on frivolous lawsuits. Those are all options that we're exploring. And if we're able to pursue any of those options on behalf of the district, we will do that.
All right. And it's not
Right.
possible for the petitions for the commissioner, right? Just for the court suits.
In
Correct.
terms of, yes, the attorney's fees, that's
fees,
correct, not for
okay.
the Commissioner of Education, but being that these complaints to the commissioner have become so voluminous and extraordinary, really. I don't think that either myself or Labor Counsel Neil Block, I believe if he was here, he would say the same thing. I don't believe either one of us has seen this number filed by any one individual for any one particular district before. So we are looking into what can be done in an extraordinary situation like this.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I didn't get that one at all. So anything else? Okay. So listen, so on behalf of the entire Board of Education, Central Administration, and of course, Council, we wish everybody a very safe and happy holiday. Again, we've had extraordinary amount of loss this year in our community, in the state, and across the country. We hope that everybody just remembers how precious life is, and that we'll come back to a new year with that in mind. So happy holidays to everyone. We wish you well. We wish you the best of everything and Happy New Year. And see you in 2021. All right. So could we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Gonzalez Prescott. Could I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Felix. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Be safe.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye
Good
now.
night. Good night.
Happy holidays.